In his latest book, Falling Upward, Father Richard Rohr describes a person as having two halves of life. In the first half, the individual is the center, receiving all the attention. The second half begins when the community becomes the center of life and not the individual. Giving, rather than receiving, is reward in this life. Some people never reach this stage. Jack was there at a very young age and is a wonderful example of the second half of life. Individually, members of society must be equally strong in three areas or pillars to flourish. These are faith, family, and community. Jack has always been a strong person in each of these pillars. In family and friends, he leaves a legacy of love and devotion. Whenever he spoke of his family, including the Impomeni West clan, it was a great love, joy, and pleasure. One could not only see, but feel the love and joy he felt. But Jack in reality had two families, the second being the community of Saddle Brook. It is in this family and brotherhood I came to know and love Jack. He had already been in Saddle Brook for a number of years before we met in 1972. When I was transferred to Saddle Brook High School in 1985, our friendship truly blossomed. Back then the world was very different. Teachers could spend an entire career in one district and actually become an integral part of that community. Saddle Brook benefited from this as a large group of teachers spent over 30 years together, forging a familial bond that still keeps us together in our retirement years. Jack spent his entire 40-year career not only in one district, but in one school, Saddle Brook High School. His love and devotion to this school is legendary. If one were to define a Mr. Saddlebrook, Jack's picture would be in that description. His natural family knew of his love and devotion to Saddlebrook and was extremely supportive of his commitment to the Saddlebrook community. At our monthly breakfast, he would always reiterate that with all the crazy things happening in education today, he would still choose the same path all over again. Without a doubt, I believe that if his excellence, devotion, and spirit could be cloned and shared, many of our problems in education today would be solved. One of Jack's secrets was not only excelling in the classroom, which he did, but having a love and devotion to the personal lives of his students and colleagues. I learned by his example. Being involved with students outside of the classroom made what goes on inside the classroom much better. Jack always believed that an institution would be better by promoting from within. The last 11 years of his Saddle Brook High School career was as vice principal. Above all else, Jack was a people person. He saw the strengths and weaknesses of his charges and continued to provide a great working environment where the only result that mattered was the continuing education of the Saddle Brook High School students. Jack understood that a student's education was to stimulate their intellect, enhance their emotional growth, and strengthen their physical being. He was supportive of all three areas, the academic classroom, all the arts, and athletics. I'm not sure how he did it, but I don't know of anyone who attended more SBHS events than Jack. For those that are interested in arcane facts, Jack and his sidekick Chuck fired the Saddle Brook cannon for 27 consecutive seasons without missing a single game, no matter what day of the week the game was held. When I was band director, I asked Jack if he would fire the cannon at a certain point in a band show. Knowing he was going to do this, with a twinkle in his eye, he offered a typical Jack response. Cappy, who's going to pay for the shells? I cannot think of anything he would not do for his or her college students. His presence and participation was greatly appreciated by the band students. He, along with other teachers, willingly gave up their spring vacation many times to travel with the band as chaperones. They gave up their personal times, not for me, but for their students. He and the others also did this with another great friend and colleague, Sal Danello. I have to mention Sal because he was the man that hired me in the first place. While I brought many books and magazines for the band trip bus rides, Jack brought enough conversation for the round trip. At first I thought that was a lot of talking, but again, Jack showed another key ingredient to his success as an educator and person. He not only talked, but listened to and observed all the students in these discussions. He became connected and involved with each student's life as he listened to what they had to say. Jack was excellent at what he did because he continued to practice his craft every single day. This was a type of devotion to Saddle Brook High School that Jack not only demonstrated, but inspired others to emulate. Another example of Jack's leadership was always finding the right person for the job. At SBHS one day he came to me with his hand extended and said, "Congratulations." As we embraced in his handshake, I asked, "For what was I being congratulated?" His response, "You are now on the handbook committee." After I said, "What?" he explained that he needed not only a competent person, but one that he could trust to get the job done. To be fair, the committee was Jack, Kim Gherkin, and myself. He worked along equally with Kim and myself. Looking back on that time, I realize now that Jack was not only helping the handbook, but myself as well by involving me in the SPHS community. He always helped people to be better, often without their realizing this. Jack was also there when I went through 3 difficult personal times, including a divorce, the passing of my mother, and a severe motorcycle accident. Jack was a tremendous comfort to me during all of these times. While these 3 events did not happen at the same time, in each case, Jack, because of his unique understanding of people, was able to provide much comfort and guidance to me. Another key to Jack's help was his understanding of the quote-unquote glass of water. He always saw it as half filled. Too many people today view the emptiness, while Jack always saw the fullness of life in every glass. Previously mentioned was the term brotherhood. In 1958, the Friars Club was established at Saddlebrook High School. It started out then and still is a camaraderie of coaches, teachers, administrators, and community supporters of the students of Saddlebrook High School. Not many people know how I became involved with the Friars. The band and chorus rehearsed before school. When band rehearsal was finished, I would walk into the chorus room to talk with Chuck. Funny thing, he knew the chorus was there. After several days, a smart person would just ask Chuck where he was. But that is not what I did. I had a mission. Where was Chuck? One day I dismissed the band a little early and followed Chuck down the hall. The music wing, then a right turn down the main hallway past Cafeteria A to the gym where he made a slight left and entered the boys' locker room, and then a left into the coach's office. That physically tiny room was the heart of the Friars. Talking about community, the spirit of camaraderie and friendship was in abundance there every day. Each day having a cup of coffee with the guys had some adventure to it. Whether the assigned people made the coffee on time, had the milk, or avoided the spillage as people poured their coffee, provided silly entertainment. In little bits and pieces, all of life was shared there. The joys of the classroom, stage, and the athletic field, as well as personal lives. It is amazing how much was shared collectively in a few minutes every day. Then, when the bell sounded, we all went off to our classes. While many of us have retired from teaching at Saddlebrook, we continue to support the school efforts and have been enjoying each other's company at annual holidays, end-of-year barbecues, and fall football trips. We still gather twice a year. Jack was the leader of this group, not by any election, but for his sheer love and devotion to this brotherhood of its members. He arranged the get-together dates and always made sure that each person knew their assignment. Jack was always aware of the changing times. The person in charge of the liquid refreshments knew to get more bottled water than beer in later years. My first assignment was plates and utensils. With this group, the pressure to get your job done properly was immense. If you couldn't take a joke, you were in serious trouble. However, one could never find a group of men that were more loyal to one another than this Friar group. An offshoot of this group was our yearly football trips. We would alternate excursions to the Boston and Washington areas. Mario's son Scott played for UMass, and Howie's son David played for UConn. After their graduations, the group decided that the pageantry of a Navy game would be enjoyable. Hence, the Washington area was added. Again, Jack organized the tickets, lodging, and tailgate supplies. Before cell phones, I provided the walkie-talkies for the vehicles. If we could only have some of those conversations listened to today. My daughter Melissa so enjoyed the stories of these trips, including the restaurants. She and I enjoyed a meal together at our favorite Annapolis restaurant, Buddy's. We all knew that even the sign at Buddy's said that dinner was $12.95. Each of us ended up with a tab of $40, all paid with exact change because of Jack's small bill rule. The game itself became secondary to the time spent together. Again, Jack knowing the value of community. Coming back to faith. Faith to me is more than just a religious calling. While Jack was extremely devoted to his faith, he also had faith in and believed in the goodness of people. Jack was a shining example of what a good person could and should be. His personal family and his Saddlebrook community will miss Jack greatly. One of the greatest joys and privileges I have had in this life was calling Jack a best friend. While it will be difficult to imagine life without Jack here, I do believe that he will be watching us from on high, and we will continue to feel his wonderful presence. Marilyn, Mark, Laura, Scott, Keith, Andrew, Olivia, and Allison, thank you for the honor and privilege of letting me share my thoughts of Jack with you and this assemblage here today. I offer you my deepest condolences for your very personal loss and pray for your healing and comfort while you grieve for your beloved Jack. To my good friend Jack, I wish you a fond farewell from this life as you begin a sure to be wonderful journey in your next life. Please, dance and sing with your family, friends, and fellow friars of heaven. God bless.